Sometimes like all you want to do is run. Hear me out, hear me out. If all the things you never show, there are the things I want you to know. Secrets start in your heart to slow. But if you don't want to tell me now, I guess I'll never know. Losing almost all my energy. It's getting hard to talk to you, and I'm the only one who speaks. It's all the things you never show. There are the things I want to know. Secrets start in your heart so slow. But if you don't want to tell me now, I guess I'll never know. Here we go.
Oh, for Pete's sakes. I hate it when I do that. I was doing a video, so I put it on mute. Yeah, okay. I'm good now. Sorry about that. I hate it when I start off when I'm muted. Anyways, thanks, Sharon. I literally would not have known probably until you said something. No, I'm not muted anymore. You can hear me now. I'm all good. And yeah, I always hate starting off a live like that. Makes me almost want to restart it. Anyways, I know this is a bit earlier of a live. Can you hear me now, Sharon? Yeah, you definitely should be hearing me now. All good? Okay. Anyways, gonna play this, like I said, this video here. And geez, I think I was expecting more than 3 people in chat at this point, but it is what it is. It's probably because I'm too early and so many other people are doing lives and stuff like that. So, but whatever is what it is. People can watch it later if they want. Anyway, so I'm going to play this out. And again, we'll talk about this, okay? So prayers and hugs for Nancy Guthrie and all the family members that are, just in a state of horrific state, simple as that on there. So this is, of course, the sheriff Fox News. So credit to the Fox News for this particular one, but we'll play it and I'll probably stop and talk about certain things.
I believe it was a kidnapping.
All new at 2, Fox News going one-on-one with the Pima County Sheriff, Chris Nanos, as the search for Nancy Guthrie intensifies.
Okay, sorry about that.
Investigators zero in on key leads. Welcome to a brand new hour of America Reports. I'm John Roberts. Thank you for filling in this week.
You are most welcome, John. The bill will come later in the week, so look out for that in the mail. It's great to be with you.
The check will be in the mail.
No, thank you. I look forward to receiving it.
I'll
I'm
get the
Jillian
check in
Turner
the
in
mail.
for Sandra today. So this interview now with all these breaking developments come as the sheriff has also been saying that the entire Guthrie family is cleared from this investigation. They are not suspects. We're also getting new details on investigators working directly with Walmart, trying to trace the exact items that the suspect was seen wearing on camera. Let's get straight to Chief Correspondent Jonathan Hunt now, who just sat down with the sheriff for this exclusive interview. Jonathan, lay it out for us. What did you learn?
A lot of breaking news out of this interview, Gillian and John. The sheriff had just come from the latest briefing on this investigation. And I asked him, first of all, about the glove that we've all heard about, the glove that on which they had found DNA, which was being tested and was going to then be entered into the FBI's Codis system, which is the national tracking system for DNA that they might have from people who have committed crimes in the past. His answer to that, not good news for the investigation. Listen here to the sheriff.
The DNA on the glove that was found 2 miles away was submitted for Codis, and I just heard that Codis had no hits.
No hits on the DNA found in the glove.
Correct.
So you are no closer to a suspect as a result of the DNA test, at least.
As a result of Codis.
Now, remember also, we broke the news last Friday that they had tested also DNA that was found inside Nancy Guthrie's house that they believed was stranger DNA. Well, the sheriff also told us no Codis hit on that DNA either. Then I talked to him about this reporting that has been out there, not repeated by us, that this was a burglary gone wrong.
Stop it.
The sheriff
there.
said,
Okay, so when it comes to this one right here, obviously, I don't think it's rocket science that if there's no Codis hit, that obviously the person isn't in the system. But you know darn right that they're going to be doing, they're going to probably go to Ortham Labs in Texas there and do the genealogy, especially, well, for both, I would think, but especially for the one in the house, right? They'll definitely, so like he said, no Codis hit. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to do the genealogy. Of course, that's going to be the next step in that DNA that's in the home. Hopefully that DNA, once a genealogy test, is done, which can take a while, that then they can, like I said, layer it back to hopefully a perpetrator, the suspects that were in the home and stuff like that. As for this glove, honestly, this glove to me, if it had a hit or whatever, I wasn't really expecting much from this glove because chances are it probably has nothing to do with Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. It doesn't make sense for this to happen. Yeah, I'll come to that in a bit. I saw that as well. But as for this glove here, I noticed that Harvey Levin, and I haven't really listened, was watching GLR. Yeah, I see that in a bunch of stuff they're sharing. Is this Harvey Levin was saying that, like, it was a different glove that was tested than not the one that I can't think of who it is. A National Post or something like that. I don't know that doesn't sound really accurate to me. I mean, this glove was the one that was a mile and a half or whatever away from Nancy Guthrie's. I can't see, like, this is the one that makes sense that they sent away. That was just weird. I didn't understand that because it just didn't feel right. Like, oh, well, yeah, the glove that was found isn't the one. It was one that was 2 miles away. That doesn't make sense at all. So that one hopefully makes sense sooner or later. But regardless, whether it's this glove or another one, which seems odd, it will have genealogy testing. It will. Again, I don't think myself that the black gov regardless has that they're going to get no, they'll get maybe genealogy on it from, a person and look into it, of course, because they obviously don't seem to know anything about Nancy Guthrie in a lot of ways about what happened to her. So that will play out, right? And then, but obviously the one to me that's the most important is the stranger one that's in the home that came back, not in Codis, but after a genealogy, hopefully can lead to at least maybe possibly answering the questions to who was in the home that shouldn't have, say, been in the home. Maybe it will be a nothing burger. Maybe it will be a something burger. Who knows? As long as it's not a co-burger. Hi, Mary. How are you? Hi, Sunny and everyone. I believe that they were looking for a USB key. Savannah had there for safekeeping. This was professionally done. And not really sure what's a USB key. Not really sure what a USB key, like, I mean, I know what a USB is, but I don't know what a USB key is. And none of this makes sense, especially opening up the crime scene. Then, yeah, well, no, and that's just it, right? I mean, honestly, this case is very much of a back and forth. You don't really know what's real in it, like what's actually, going on, what's real. It's really leaving your brain just going like, what? Like you're trying to think of the ransom note that came in that doesn't make sense. Like the ransom note that came in saying 4 million, then the other one saying 6 million. And then you don't hear back. And then you hear, Harvey Levin talking about, like, with this guy that's messaging back and forth with him. USB, same as key. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. And so, yeah. So, and then you have, like said, Harvey Levin talking with this guy that's now sent in 4 letters. Okay. I mean, the guy looks, first of all, to even think to ask for money, like, do you know what I mean? Like they're offering a reward, right? If he doesn't want to do it the proper way and stuff like that, like, so what are you truly trying to hide? What didn't make sense to me, and Harvey Levin said that they won't be, even if he does message again or send an email or whatever, that they won't be talking about it no more. I mean, first of all, again, you'd have to be a big sap-sucking leech to sit there and try to ride off of money the way this person's doing it. Like I said, if you're a legit person, you're going to submit it the proper way. If you're not a legit person, or you got a big lengthy rap sheet behind your butt, and stuff like that, you try to do things the shady way. So with that guy, the thing that kind of struck me about this guy that's sending that I want a partial piece of Bitcoin and I won't cash it in, and then I'll tell you the person's name, location and stuff like that. In that last letter, the guy says, yeah, I know she interviewed people from the Epstein files, as well. So we don't really know, right? That's the thing. Again, it's so confusing because we don't really know which way this case is. If they believe it's a kidnapping, so why the oddity that we haven't heard about another ransom asking for more money? Savannah, recently did her other Instagram posts there, and just basically saying, basically be a good person, and you can right or wrong in a sense somewhat. It doesn't have to be like this and stuff like that. So I don't know. That whole part about that ransom starting off late, it's all weird. Then you have Leech number 2 trying to get a portion of the Bitcoin and stuff like that. But what struck me about that Leech number 2 is that, so he says he knows where Nancy Guthrie is. We'll give the location. And then basically he is saying that, he was told to shut up, like the reason, blah, blah, blah. And not only did he say that he wasn't going to message again, and then he messages again. I mean, he totally just looks like another fool, right? Other than not camera guy, on the video of this suspect at the door using freaking foliage to try to cover a camera. But going back to leech number 2 there, it's like, so they told you to shut up and, but you're willing to give this information. So then obviously to me, if you know who has it, the name and all this stuff, because this is one of those situations that the more you talk, the more people are going to tell. So who's telling him that he should shut up? But you know what? But he knows he'll give this information. So it just seems like strange the way he worded it in that last one, about shit. I was trying to remember exactly what he said, that he was told to shut up. Well, my point being though is, so don't you think then that if people are reading your notes on TMZ and all that shit, that you're going to be one of the select few? If you know the person and know where she is, that you are in knowledge then, and so aren't you putting like a target on your head to be killed? If you're sitting there offering that you want a piece of the pie, that you know where she is and the person who it is, because this isn't something that people are going to be like, oh yeah, high five, man, I got Nancy at my house, and they're just going to keep talking about it, because that seems ridiculous. I mean, talkers may talk, but do you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense that you're saying that you know the person's name, this, you were told to shut up, but yet you're clearly just trying to get some money, as if but don't you think that the people that actually have Nancy then would like literally probably try to kill you for even trying to attempt this? Because you're obviously saying that you're in the know, right? And the only people that would be in the know is people that are close to this, if said people or person that has Nancy Guthrie. So that doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's like someone double talking, and it doesn't make sense. So it doesn't ring truthful to the ear. If you guys get what I'm saying though, right? I'm not going to sit there and say her name, the abductor's, where she is, the abductor's name, and then I was told to shut up. But here I am coming forward. I'm willing to give you information, because then they would know who you are, you doofus. Like right? Because like I said, these people that say, let's say they do have Nancy, like I said, you think that they're just gonna, here, let me just post it on Facebook, just gonna tell a friend, telegraph, tell everybody, because you know how it is, right? You tell one person out of it that's not part of it, they're definitely gonna tell somebody else. They're definitely gonna tell somebody else. Definitely, until the next thing you know, FBI, you know what? Thank you, type of thing. Sunny, do you know much about the APS card left on the door? Why it was? No, I don't know. Like, obviously that card was, left there, but nobody knows why. Like, was it a neighbor? Was it somebody? I don't know. Not sure. Was it somebody? I don't know. Was somebody going around the neighborhood, putting those cards there? I don't know. So nobody truly knows, besides maybe the company that put it there. It's still sitting there to this day, to be honest with you. It's still in the door. I'll pull that card up in a bit. Listen while making dinner. Absolutely. Well, it's, here it's 3:30. Like I said, I'm doing an earlier live, only got like 17 people, but thank you, 17 people that are in here right now listening. Again, so as for the glove genealogy, right? If they think it's any part of the case, I personally don't think it belongs to this case. I don't think that if she was kidnapped, I don't see someone just whipping it out the window. Definitely don't see this as somebody traipsing and it falls out of their pocket. I just don't, whatever. The one that I'm interested in is, okay, can they try to get a sniffing signal out of that, the helicopter? That's like freaking a needle in a haystack right there. But they're attempting, at least, right? So, that's good. But to me, if I was to go from top there, I'm like the one that's in the home that hasn't been assigned to a family member and no hit in Codis. I mean, again, it could be a nothing burger, but they're going to do genealogy on that and then try to see if it's someone that was in the house, because we don't know if there was more than one or two people that went around to the backside. We did hear that the backside was left open or kicked open, originally, back when this case first started. But then, Nano, their guy, was like, well, I didn't say it was out the front door and stuff like that and different things, and kind of double talks himself as well. But anyways, I'm going to play a little bit more. This one, I'm going to stop and talk about it myself, my own thoughts. At the end of the day, you guys got a poll out there about what you guys think. Yeah, kidnapping, I'm glad that they ruled out the family, because at first I think a lot of us were thinking, Tomato Guy had involvement, perhaps, like that this was a money greed thing. It's still about money, don't get me wrong. But, I'm glad that they were cleared, and just because they're cleared doesn't mean that they still can't be looked at or charges come down, right? It's just with the information that they have, everything looks like that, that they were not participants in anything to do with Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. In my information, Nancy saw or found something big out and she was not supposed to know. Is that what you think, Mary? Yeah, I don't think that one myself, but you never know. You never know, right? I'll just play out some more here.
It was not. Listen again to the sheriff.
You just said you believe it's a kidnapping.
I believe it was a kidnapping.
Targeted kidnapping.
Yes, I believe whoever did that knew what they were up to.
So do you believe
knew who they were after?
So we also talked to the sheriff about these reports of the FBI going to gun stores. They have indeed been going to gun stores, but there was a report out there that they had narrowed it down essentially to 40 suspects they were asking about and showing pictures of. Here's the sheriff's response to that.
Tell me this if you can, Sheriff. Is everybody in Tucson still a suspect, or have you narrowed it down to, say, a few dozen people? We've heard, for instance, the FBI is asking about 40 people at gun stores.
That's not true.
Okay, so have you narrowed it down to a few dozen, or are we?
We haven't narrowed it down to anything other than we have certain pieces of evidence that we're looking at to try to find this individual, whether it be DNA, whether it be that Ring camera video, whether it be evidence at a Walmart that might lead us to somebody.
Couple of other important points from...
Sorry. Got a tickle in my throat. Okay, maybe I'll have a sip of water. Okay, hot shot. I was going to do a live yesterday, but I ended up spending it just in bed, because I had a flu. Still got a little bit of one going on, but whatever. But anyway, I was supposed to do one yesterday, so I apologize. And I didn't, so that's why I'm doing one today. So anyways, okay. Kidnapping, as he's talking about, he believes it's a kidnapping. So at the moment, unsure at this time is 38%. Kidnapping at the moment, and this is only based on 21 votes. Obviously, we have thousands of viewers watching at the moment, not 43% for kidnapping, burglary gone wrong, 5%, home invasion, 14%. They cleared the family, okay? So the immediate family and spouses to go with that. Now, the thing that does make me feel that this, like, although we've been topsy-turvy because of the information about the ransom notes and stuff like that, and so it's hard to, you're trying to think of logically of someone being taken from their home, blood coming out the front door, but and and spending 41 minutes in that home. They won't say, if the back door or whatever was kicked open. They won't say if anything was taken and stuff like that. Obviously, they're not going to give us that type of information typically when it's, specific to the case. And that's stuff that they talk about holding it close to the vest, because that's a big part of this investigation. Understandable for us, because we only wish that we knew what the FBI and the sheriff and their team knew for sure. Now, logically looking at this head on, it kind of feels like mostly like a kidnapping, because if it was a home invasion, or a burglary gone wrong, the chances are is that they're not going to be taking a body with them, right? It doesn't make sense. Typically, usually during burglaries, if the person is there, the body's going to be found there as well. If it's, something to do with an unaliving murder during that. Hi, Shannon. How are you? And so, and Shannon, I'm not sure, but you can tell me in Messenger, because my brain wasn't even thinking. I wasn't planning on doing it. Like, I was going to do one yesterday, but if you do feel like it and want to come up, feel free to. If not, but just let me know in Messenger, okay? Just because I'd seen your name and I was like, oh wait, Shannon, wait, wasn't she supposed to come on? But let me know. But anyway, so I mean, it most likely seems like a kidnapping, a home invasion, same thing. It's not making sense. Typically, so the kidnapping makes the most sense out of all of this. And of course, Savannah, probably, we don't know for sure, but probably won't return to the Today Show, because of the fact that she feels like, because of her mother, has been taken. And that she doesn't want something else to happen to her other siblings, because, does crazy stuff like this exist? Absolutely. Do we hear about stuff like this? Here and there, but usually not kidnappings, asking, ransom notes and stuff like that. And again, I think on one of the news clips I was watching yesterday or the day before, like, there's bigger, like, it's not just some random one, because there's bigger fish out there worth a ton more money to try to, get money out of, for sure, on there. So that one, so it does come across as more of a kidnapping, all in all. Just quickly. Yeah, no problem. I feel no problem, Shannon. But so yeah, but the weird thing about the kidnapping is all the weirdness going around with this, the ransom notes. It's weird, but it's weird. Okay. It's just, every time I think about it, it's just all weird, Now, as for the 40 that they were going around to the different stores, 40 pictures and, stuff like that. Hi, Miss Dog Lover. That one, okay, I think that was basically that probably, news channels or whatever, maybe had been following them or something, right? And I feel like it was probably one of the owners of the gun shop or whatever that probably said, yeah, they came in, showed me about 40 pictures and, that's probably more the case there. And sheriff was saying, well, that's not true, right? innocent. And yeah, we're saying that's not true. So yeah, chances are that they went in. Maybe, like I said, an owner of one of the shops just, said, hey, they came in, they showed a bunch of pictures, wanted to know this. Now, obviously they're looking for who sold the gun holster, and stuff like that, right? Because they're looking at that, was it Ozark or whatever trail, Walmart's, there's 9 Walmarts. That one is exclusively a Walmart item, as JLR showed on the back of the tag that it's a Walmart product. But anyways, so they're kind of looking at the holster and the gun, right? If the gun was purchased. But I'm thinking, good luck with the gun. Chances are that gun is, not a legit, that the person isn't legally registered to that gun. That's probably a hot gun, is possibly what I'm thinking. Now the holster, so I'm pretty sure like that some guy didn't go in going, I think I'll take that holster. That gun right there. No. Chances are it's a hot gun, but as for the holster, different story. So obviously they're looking to see who purchased that holster. Now, in saying that, on the video camera of the suspect at the door there, he's trying the handle. Thank you, Shannon. Is that for you not coming up here right now? Just kidding. Love you, girl. Thank you for the super sticker. Is my stream thing kicking? Well, we'll see if the noise goes off in a second for that. When he's trying, like, I'm left-handed myself. So, he grabs, but then he tries to open the door with his left hand. So it's kind of assumed that he's left-handed. And based on what you see, you would kind of get that, because I'm left-handed. So that's the exact, of course, hand I would use to try to open something. I wouldn't try to be all I can use both hands in a lot of ways, more than some people. It's like, I wouldn't say I'm a full ambidextrous, but I definitely am. I do certain things right-handed, but mainly most things left-handed. And that's only because a lot of the things in sports are geared towards right-handed people. And over time, over the years, you see more left-handed stuff being made. But I mean, I could sit here and write with my right hand if I wanted to, but chances are he's left-handed. But the holster, the way that they have it, it's pointing as if a right-handed person would grab it versus a left-handed. But obviously, you got this weird matching holster to this, whatever it was, an automatic gun that doesn't belong in that holster. So I feel like, well, first of all, I feel like this case was already going to be solved, to be honest, because it being high profile, and because I felt like there was going to be enough things to kind of put together versus clothing and what they had for camera stuff, and I thought maybe at this point we might have already had, an answer, but we've been taken on a bit of a roller coaster ride, with Carlos, and then the other one on Camino del Michael or whatever it was. Mary Stevens, maybe I'll play that for you again. He absolutely 1,000 billion%. If you look at that video again, you'll see him turning his hand on the doorknob that's right there. So yeah, maybe you're just missing that piece watching it, but we'll play it, and then you literally see he's actually trying to turn the handle. He's trying to kind of cover the nest cam, with his hand in that foliage, and that's when he goes in to turn the handle. So perhaps you just don't recall that part of the video, or looked at that detail, because I probably overlooked it a couple times, to be honest with you. And then I was like, oh yeah, he's trying to turn the handle. The whole gun thing is so weird. It's weird. Yeah. I wouldn't doubt. I would not doubt, I mean, because perception. Yeah, I did. Like again, I'll play it for you, but you can't tell me on this one that he's not turning the handle. He legitly is trying to turn the handle on that. You know what? Let me pull that up, Mary. 1 second. I'll just pull up the video. Let's see here. Which one? Two side by side. Okay, that's that one. I think this is it. Okay. Maybe I'll make it bigger. You're probably not seeing it as good though right here. 1 second. Let me take down my banner. Probably be best if I didn't have my banner on as well for a second here. Okay. Well, let me take down this bottom banner as well. Hide. There we go. See, there's the door handle, right? Right there. See? And then he grabbed. Okay, hold on. Oh, hold on. Maybe, Mary, I'm completely wrong on this. Because you're right. Hold on a second. I'm taking my 100 billion% back. One second. Just gonna watch it again. Looking for the right. Yeah. We'll leave that one as Mary's right, Sunny's wrong. 1 second. Remove. Add to stage. Where am I? Look. Hello. Welcome back. Mary, you're totally right. I take it all back because you are so right. That door handle is there. And it's, so I guess he's like top where the camera is and then trying to, grab it. You're right, Mary. My bad. You're right. Most people use their dominant hand, yeah. I don't think Nancy's in Mexico. And look at when he enters the porch, there's another man in the now that I don't see about another man in the distance. I remember on the video seeing that what looked like a person in the video. Not, I'll say a person, but yet it wasn't a person. Here, I'll pull that back up again. 1 sec. Let's bring this down. Okay, so like in the background, like here, can you see where I'm showing? Like, can you see my mouse? I can't zoom in on this one because it's on a video. I wish I had the one at the start where his head's coming down. Well, it's not small for me on my big screen. Like, are you thinking that, like, can you see my mouse? Can you see my mouse? I'm thinking not. I'm thinking you can't see it. Can you? No. Okay. Yeah. So you see that black stick straight ahead? Whatever that is, that black object straight ahead in the, like, behind the backpack in a sense, where his ass is to the left. Are you talking about that there's like a white, almost like a white light or something there? Handrail. Okay, but Yeah, you know what, Mary? I'll take a look at that again later, because sometimes you just miss things. Okay, 1 second here. Add to stage. No, remove. Mary, I'll take a better look at that later with my video on it. And there we go. Now I'll put my banner back up. Yeah, I'll take a better look at it again and just see. I'll look at it in my Wondershare program. And but you're absolutely correct. Oops, come on, show. There we go. But you are absolutely correct about the that he wasn't going for the hand. Like that's, maybe I was just caught by the fact that, of the twisting motion, like when you turn a handle, but you can clearly see that the handle was still there. And so he obviously was going for the bottom part of the Nest cam, trying to, like get it up there or whatever. For sure. Handrail just on the left side of it. There's definitely someone there. Well, that one I won't say definitely. We haven't had like in all the people I've watched or the news, no one's ever that I've seen claimed to say that there's a person there, right? So I don't know if that's just another YouTube channel that's basically trying to point it out, because I know from the Delphi case that what we perceive and what truly is there, right? That's why, like with what Sleuth Intuition is doing, again, that reminds me of Delphi stuff. And I'm not going to play those games of what's pareidolia. It's called pareidolia. It's when you think something's there, because trust me, Delphi and me, yeah, all day long, I'll say pareidolia. You think you see something, but it's really not. So again, I have never heard JLR talk about it. No News Nation, no, I've never heard anyone talk about it. Yeah, but who? Because I've never heard that by any station at all, or any other channels that I've watched. Door cam footage that are definitely saying another man. Yeah, but who? Who's saying that? Because it's certainly not the news stations, right? And it's certainly, I've never heard JLR talk about it. I've never heard Ashley Banfield, Brian Entin. Like, there's nobody talking about it. So that makes me believe that it's a channel you're watching where they said that. I don't know how the sheriff cleared anyone. Well, I mean, they did it in the Kohberger case, right? And it's because in the Kohberger case, Shannon, you know how everyone was blaming the Jacks, right? And now I never even got involved in blaming anyone until Brian Kohberger was arrested. And then it was clear as day that he was. Oh, McDonough. Yeah, like I said, I'll go back and take a look at it. But, if like the interview room, right? Which I know Chris from Profiling Evil, from Suzanne Morphew case and his crew on there. But why is nobody else talking about it? Why is nobody else talking about it? So, right? Because just because they're talking about it, it doesn't mean that there is either. But that's there's nobody talking about that at all. And it's not because other people are stupid. It's just because there's nothing there to clearly show probably that there isn't anyone there. They haven't said anything about that. But I'll go take a look at it later myself and just see if by chance, like, are we missing something, or is it pareidolia where you think you see something but you don't, because I play with videos like that stuff, right? Interview room and that they don't play with, like, they're not like that. They talk about certain things, but they're not into creating videos and using different coloring and all that stuff. So we'll take a look. I'll take a look at it later. Not during the live though. But anyway, let me keep playing this. Has been charged. So yeah, so just Shannon, it reminds me of when they did that, because so basically to stop harassing the family, right? Sometimes they'll do stuff like that, like they did in the Cobra case. Yeah, but Mary, on this one, my thing is this, right? Wait, that's the same man later in the footage with no backpack. No, that's the same. Yeah, I'm confused because they're showing a picture of the same person with no backpack, right? They're showing that. So that doesn't mean that there's two people. If that's what you're referring to, that doesn't mean that that's a secondary person. So they showed one picture where the guy has his backpack off, right? And then they show it another when it's on. Now, could that be two people that are wearing the exact same clothes? Maybe. Because, you don't see the gun holster, hanging down. You don't see the knapsack. So could it be a secondary person, perhaps? Chances of that? Could be, but unlikely. Unlikely that two people are going to dress up exactly the same, with the same items on. Could be, though, right? So if that's what you're talking about, then, that's, of course, just speculation, really, because we don't know if it's the same person, and I know that it's been talked about with that, about, like, did it happen before or after? Like did he like, it would have to be more secondary. You wouldn't think at the start, right? Maybe he did come first. It doesn't make sense though. It makes sense to come after. Like, you're doing so it doesn't make sense regardless. Doesn't, Mary? It doesn't. Like, meaning to see him without his knapsack on. And that's why it could be looked at as possibly the fact of it could be a second person. Show me some different clothes maybe, but I don't see twinsies going on here, but so that's another one that's confusing about that, because I know that when Ashley Banfield and other ones were talking about it as well, it was like, so did this happen of footage, right? Because the police or whatever, LE sheriff's office, whatever, they're only giving us certain parts of that video, right? They're not giving us the full look. They're just giving us a couple things. But I don't honestly believe that that's a secondary person, because always the wording when they're talking about the person in front of the camera is the suspect. They're using it like singularly, not as if it's plural of two people being, like, two people could have been there perhaps, they're the ones that have the footage for sure, probably from the inside, and they probably got the video now, I would assume, just like they grabbed the video of this. But when they're talking about that video, it's not like they're going, and then there was, two people that were, at the front of the door and did. It's always like about the individual, the suspect that's at the front door. So I think it's still just going to be the same person. But in my head, I would try to wrap around. So why in one part of a video? Because, right, it's probably two pieces of videos, right? Like the camera footage. So the police in that, they're only going to give us for sure what they know, like what they want to give us. That's a given. They're only going to give us enough to go, do you know this person, right? They're not going to give us the full video. They'll give us pieces. But in this case, they gave us a picture without the knapsack on and one with the knapsack on. So there's obviously different portions of this video that they're showing, but because they don't use the term like suspects when they're talking about the front door, that doesn't lead me personally to believe that that's two different individuals, that it is the same, but they're at separate times. But it still piques my interest Well, why would he have a backpack on at this point, but not on at this point? Because if he came without it at the first time, he would obviously know that the Nest Cam was there. That's what makes me think that it would be after, but I don't know. Freaking head bonger, this one. Imagine you're gonna come back. Well, that's just it. But like I said, you try to make sense of that. Like, how do you make sense of, well, you know what? Let me just, like, you would make sense of that if he didn't have his backpack on originally, and then he goes up to the door. But then you would think that, he would have spotted the Nest Cam right then and there, right? Not all of a sudden trying to cover it up while he does have his backpack on. That doesn't make sense, though, right? That's the stuff that goes in my brain, is that it doesn't make sense. So, but yet, to me, it's different portions of the video that they show us. And why? Because they're only going to show us what they want to show us. And all that is they're hoping that by showing us that piece of video, those pictures, is going to lead to something, right? And yet they're going to have probably a bunch more footage that we'll never see, because we don't need to see it for them. We might want to see it. Would there have been 2 people to get Nancy out of the house? Well, again, it won't shock me if somebody goes around to the back side of the home. This person goes to the front side. Maybe this was a person for hire, and that's why. And it's not something that he does all the time, but wants to make some cash and agrees to do it. Because it doesn't make sense, this person in front of the camera to the ransom notes. So it's just all very bizarre. Anyway, let me play a bit more. I need to get a drink.
This wide-ranging interview, John and Gillian, I asked the sheriff if there are any indications at all that Nancy Guthrie may have been taken across the border into Mexico, just about 65 miles or so south of us here. He said no indications of that. He said he believes the FBI has been checking that, but no indications of that at this point. And I followed up with him on the news that he put out a statement about yesterday, that clearing the Guthrie family, their siblings and spouses, he said to me, 100% they are victims, not connected. So a lot of news, but the bad news in terms of the investigation, that DNA, neither the DNA in the house or the DNA on the glove coming back with a hit on the FBI's national database. I hate to use the phrase back to square one, John and Gillian, but if we are talking about the squares that have been moved forward, we're certainly in the low single digits in terms of this investigation. John and Gillian?
I mean, it's also got to be pretty disappointing, for lack of a better word, for the family watching this to hear him say they haven't narrowed down the search to anybody, meaning no suspects right now.
Extraordinary, Gillian. When you talk to him, and you can feel the frustration in the sheriff. Obviously, he has come in for some criticism from some quarters, but I will say now, having got to know him a little bit over the last 16 days that we've been here, he is a man who wants to solve this crime, quite obviously. He has decades in law enforcement. There's Monday morning quarterbacking going on. Maybe some mistakes have been made. That's not for me to say. But this is a man who has a lot of compassion for the Guthrie family, really wants, just like every single law enforcement official on the ground here, they want to solve this case. But clearly, they are very frustrated, and clearly they are struggling to find out where Nancy Guthrie is and who took her.
So, Jonathan, here's something that a lot of folks I talked to are trying to wrap their head around. If this was not a robbery gone bad, if it was a kidnapping, but this idea that the ransom notes was a dead end, and we're not hearing anything from kidnappers. I mean, the object of kidnapping is you get something for the person that you've kidnapped. So what's this all about?
Well, that's an open question, John, and a very good question. I asked the sheriff about the ransom notes, and he said that is mainly an investigative lead for the FBI. Clearly, the ransom notes have not been ruled inauthentic or entirely authentic at this point. But the sheriff was quite adamant, not a burglary. I did ask him about, was anything taken at all? He said he couldn't talk about that. I asked him again about the forced entry or no forced entry. He wouldn't talk about that. And he said quite plainly, there are things we are not going to tell you because they are so germane to this investigation that they could compromise this investigation if we tell you. And as we've said throughout, John, they have every right to keep whatever information they want from us. But clearly, yeah, it's a struggle. But equally clearly, the sheriff believes in his gut. And I asked him his gut as a decades-long law enforcement officer what he thinks this is. And he said, I believe it is a kidnapping, not a burglary gone wrong.
That one is going to end there. I saw one come out a couple of minutes ago, so I'm going to play that one. I think, bottom line is, I think that they're all confused, just like we're all confused. Just that they have more, of course, information, but their information at this time, obviously, they don't know. They don't know where Nancy Guthrie is. Obviously, they got a helicopter. Like, they're just confused as we are, but yet they have all this information. That's really, I think, the bottom line of it. Obviously, it doesn't sound good to the family. But I want to play this clip because I just said it came a couple minutes ago. And let's see what this one has to say. Do I want this one? Yeah, stop screen, share screen. Let's see what this one has to say. Nope. Ha, wrong one. Wrong one. Took down that one, but I meant to put up another one. Let me just click on it. That way I'm at it already. Stop screen. It is so confusing. It is so confusing. All of it. Like, everything just keeps making you ask way more questions. Right. I just feel like that they're too at a loss. Well, they are. They're at a loss at the moment. At least at the moment. That they're trying to get DNA, Codis hits. Obviously, they're going to send off for genealogy, right? Definitely when it comes to, especially the one in the home and stuff like that. They obviously were geared and looking around Annie's home and stuff like that, right? Next thing you know, they cleared the family. So it's almost like that they were looking over there and stuff like that as well, to no avail. Obviously, we can see with the two different raids or whatever you want to call them, that nothing became of that to fruition that we know of yet. So yeah, they're definitely just as confused, but they just have, obviously the ransom notes, all the different things to look at and still, try to figure. I'm amazed, unless they do, but nah, I'm amazed, like, this whole, like the whole 4 million, 6 million. It's just one of those things, like, the criminals are like 2 steps ahead of, law enforcement and FBI even, right? Now, eventually they can track and stuff like that, but, the criminals really are, when it comes to like that dark web and, crypto and hiding. There's so many tools that people can use nowadays where you can virtually make it impossible to trace, but most times it can be done. But like they say, it could take months, right? It could take months. So, anyway, so let me play that one I was going to say. This one here. So the title of this one says, these appear to be setbacks in the Guthrie case. Criminal defense attorneys, I guess we'll be talking here. So let's
criminal
listen.
defense attorney Josh Ritter for more on this. Josh, put it all together for us. We got DNA on the glove that doesn't match anybody in the Codis base, which just means that whoever had the DNA on the glove, whoever was wearing the glove, is probably not a convicted criminal. We got different DNA in the house. The sheriff thinks it's a kidnapping, not a robbery gone bad, yet there's nothing from the kidnapper. So where does the case stand at this point?
I don't think there's an easy way of putting it, that it's discouraging. These appear to be setbacks. You were hoping for some sort of hit, some sort of lead, some sort of way to move the investigation forward. with that glove that they found. But especially discouraging is the idea that the glove doesn't even match the DNA inside of the home. So we can't even determine at this point if the glove is even involved or if it's just a false lead, just some random glove that was left behind. And the idea that the DNA, the unidentified DNA found inside the home, which is their best lead as far as the forensic goes, comes back to nothing. And Codis, again, yes, it's nice that they have a sample, but now they don't have any anything to do with that sample unless they're testing it against people that they're detaining. As far as the comments about whether or not this was a kidnapping, a residential burglary gone bad, I think it's really a distraction at this point, because that person showed up with obvious bad intentions. He's got a mask on, he's got gloves on, he's got a gun, he's got a backpack. He's going inside that home to commit some sort of crime, and perhaps most likely some sort of crime of violence, whether or not that's a kidnapping, whether or not he showed up to take things from the home. I don't think that gets us any closer to finding the individual or finding Nancy, and kind of quibbling over words or what his intentions were. Just seems like we're debating over theories, especially when it's coming from law enforcement. You would think the focus would just be on finding new evidence and finding suspects, which apparently at this point they have none.
Josh, this is Jillian. It struck me when the sheriff said in response to Jonathan's question that they have not, he asked him if they had narrowed this down to a few dozen potential suspects. And the sheriff said, well, we haven't narrowed it down to anybody. And they have been saying they don't have a suspect. So in a sense, it's not new, but hearing him put it like that was just especially, I don't know, disappointing. If you're the family listening to that, what do you read into it?
It's very disappointing. We're now into week 3, 16 days that she's been missing. And you would think that they would at least have a pool of likelies, a pool of possible people of interest that they would be working off of. But the idea, according to the sheriff, that this is just wide open, everybody in the area and beyond is a suspect. To me, you know, Jonathan said, if we're not at square one, we're in the low digits. I agree. It does seem as though this investigation is not all that further along than it was initially. And it's starting, yes, is it disappointing, discouraging, frustrating? We're hoping there might be more taking place behind the scenes we're not aware of, but as we stand here right now, it does not seem hopeful.
So one of the things that might be going on, because you don't get a DNA match with Codis from the DNA that was in the house or the DNA from the glove, do they now move to IgG, investigative genetic genealogy, as they did in the Koberger case, to see if they can come up with a match?
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you referenced the Koberger case, because one glimmer of hope that we can glean out of that is that in the Koberger case, they had actually identified through the reconstruction of a family tree and the use of IgG, they had identified Koberger as a suspect. And that was not information shared for 11 days until he was actually arrested. So it could be that they're well on their way to trying to at least narrow down relatives of who this person is, especially the unidentified DNA recovered from the home. They've had that for some time now. Hopefully that is the next step that they've already taken, but they have not shared whether or not that process is under.
Definitely, as any of us that follow true crime know of the Koberger, the Idaho 4 case, and about the genealogy and how the sheath that was left in the home, right, they had gotten, of course, you know, the print there, and they had taken garbage out, right, like from his dad originally, and then of course matched it all through the system, because obviously Koberger wasn't in the system, but they through genealogy. And you can guarantee, come on now, we all, no matter what, know that there's favoritism, in a sense, to me, that go into cases like this, that not your typical Tom, Dick, and Harry are going to get this type of presence. Typically, it just doesn't happen. And usually after a week, you know, well, the search, like in Sebastian Rogers and Jack and Lily's case, and that, you know, they usually shut down the searching area when they can't really find anything, and then it goes into the investigative side more so, you know. But this case, you know, because of who Savannah is, because of this being her mother, it's a high profile case, and it is going to get more special treatment than just an average Joe case that would have been kidnapped from a home, for sure. And if you might not agree with me on that, but this stuff always happens. We know it does. Favoritism in a sense. I think that everything should be equal, right? A missing person, stuff like that. Every bit of manpower should go in when it comes to somebody's life and, wondering what happened here. Okay, so we're going to go to, so anyways, so the Brian Cobra case, if you're not familiar with it, that's the whole point. You try to narrow it down, get something from, that marker, right? And then try to, that unknown, and then bring it down to people that have, like registered and all that stuff, and that's how they kind of, find out, because there's going to be like a family member out there that probably would have, sent in for, whatever 21andMe or, those type of ones. And right. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing when it comes to bad people. If you're a good person in life, you don't need to worry about your fingerprints and shit like that, but, so if there was no match in Codis, though, that tells you that there's no arrest record, where they've had, fingerprinting done, if it's not in Codis. So obviously that person, if whoever it is, right, doesn't have any sort of history, of a criminal record there. But who knows? Will that be a nothing burger? Maybe it will be a something burger. Anyway, we'll go over to X here, and let's take a look at those. Share screen. The searching and that went on today at the Guthrie home and that. So let's see. Let's play Brian Entin.
So I haven't seen that happen before. Hey guys, so an update here from Nancy Guthrie's house. There are two people who showed up, one in a pickup truck and one in a Subaru. The sheriff's deputies let them through, and they went to the back of the house. One of the men was holding a briefcase, and we could see them go to the back of the house, and then we could see with our drone that they went inside the house. I'm not sure why. We don't know who they are. There was no markings on the car. It does not appear that they are law enforcement, but the deputies here obviously knew that they were coming because they let them through and they let them go to the back of the house. So I haven't seen that happen before. I don't know if it's like someone that the family sent over to get something out of the house. That kind of occurred to me. Maybe a private investigator, something like that. I don't know. But it was just something that I haven't seen happen before. And one of them is actually still here at the house right now. So I'll keep an eye on it. Obviously, the big development now has been from the sheriff's office saying that there's no DNA matches in Codis at this point. So I'll keep you guys posted if anything else develops.
Okay, so that was that one. Let's see here. No, don't want to watch again. How did I not get out of it? Oh, I forgot. Have to do that. What's this? I already posted that. Okay, so there's that one. Is this one? Okay, what's this one? Does this one show the same thing? This is just somebody else's on TikTok or Twitter.
Or no, he might even be like commandeering that thing because he's using it with his phone. He might have even commandeered that through the app or something to be able to download the data from it. Look at this. Okay, and the other guy's coming out. That looks like Pima County. I don't know. That could be...
Is this a neighbor's home, this one? Or is this Nancy's home?
He might even be like commandeering that thing because he's using it with his phone. He might have even commandeered that through the app or something to be able to download the data from it. Look at this. Okay, and the other guy's coming out. That looks like Pima County. I don't know. That could be.
That one was the neighbor's
Or
house.
no,
So,
he might even be.
one second. Nancy's neighbor house, a one lot south, now being investigated by what looks like a superior law enforcement. A camera unit of 2 lights and 1 camera seen here being either dabbed for fingerprints or commandeered via cell phone app to download playback just as used before. Okay, let's see. We saw that one. And let's see what this one shows. Obviously, this is Nancy's home here. That's one of the back doors. Put the drone right through it. Stick the drone right through the door. Yeah, the other one was the neighbor's. Yeah, Miss Dog Lover. I mean, he obviously has some sort of bag he's carrying with him that looks like it's a, I don't know, reminds me of like a testing bag type of thing where you open it up. Who knows? Poor Nancy. That's what I gotta say. Poor Nancy. Okay, so, and I think we already seen this one. But whatever, I'll play this one. Oh, this is them getting into their vehicle.
Weird.
Isn't it though, Shannon?
If you look at Nancy's house, it's on the right side. You're staring. Just remember days ago, law enforcement was looking in the septic tank, manhole, in between yards. They were there looking on there.
So that's the neighbor's house as well.
Coming out.
Okay.
Weird. Next door neighbors. If you look at Nancy's house, it's on the right side. You're staring. Just remember days ago, law enforcement was looking in the septic tank, manhole, in between yards. They were there.
Yeah, so that was 26 minutes ago for Brian Entin, saying that they don't have any more footage from Nancy's other cameras as at this moment, that's in Google's hands. This one is another video that's like 3 minutes long, where somebody's got a really good zoom on their camera. Can almost pick the boogers out of somebody's nose, how close that is. Obviously has a tag on. Too bad it was facing the wrong way. Then we could have seen possibly where they're from. Huh. I mean, obviously they were Brian Entin was having a sit down with the sheriff as well, but I don't see that he has a video out yet, so I'm sure there'll be one to come, of course. And that was just kind of a picture, but you know, once they're done their editing and all that stuff. But I will go to watch a couple of his shorts. Let's see, Tuesday morning, latest on nuts, FBI visiting Tucson. Well, let's just see what he says.
Hey guys, so an update here from Nancy Guthrie's house. There are two people who showed up, one in a pickup truck and one in a Subaru. The sheriff's deputies let them through, and they went to the back of the house. One of the men was holding a briefcase, and we could see them go to the back of the house, and then we could see with our... Hey guys, so a pretty significant update here when it comes to the Nancy Guthrie investigation. The sheriff's office confirming that they put the DNA now from the gloves that were found about 2 miles from Nancy's house into the Codis system, which is the DNA FBI database, and that there was no matches, and that they've also put other DNA into the Codis database related to the Nancy Guthrie investigation, and that also has not come up with a match, which is, you know, disappointing news, especially because I was hoping that maybe the DNA found inside Nancy's house might match something, and at this point, no matches. So that just came from the sheriff's office. Again, that's not what we were hoping to hear. A few other things with Nancy's pacemaker. They confirmed that they're attempting to locate the device and are working with the manufacturer and other experts to assist in that effort. Remember, I told you guys about the signal sniffer they were using. They're still working with Walmart management to identify and isolate the individual who purchased the backpack, because we know the backpack came from there. And also a new line in their latest state release about the Guthrie family. This is from the sheriff again. They say, in criminal investigations, evidence is examined to either build a case or clear individuals. At this point in the investigation, the Guthrie family, including siblings and spouses, has not been identified as suspects. So a little bit different from the statement that the sheriff put out yesterday, but essentially the same thing. So that's the latest. Again, it's kind of not the news we're hoping for when it comes to the Codis database. Hey guys, just wanted to check in. It is Tuesday morning. I'm in Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood right now, working on a couple of leads. Hopefully I'll have some new information for you later this afternoon with some stuff that I'm working on. But no significant developments today from the Pima County Sheriff's Office. We don't know of any briefings that are going to be happening. I obviously reported last night to you what I learned about the gun shops, which I'm still trying to get more information on. But I do know that The FBI went to several gun shops in Tucson and had 40 names and 40 photos that they showed the employees, trying to see if those people had been at the gun shop or had purchased a weapon. So a lot of people are like, well, what are the names? You know, I mean, obviously we're very careful about what we report here. So, but I am trying to dig a little more and get a little more on that front. And that's pretty much it right now. I will keep you guys posted as the day develops. Again, I might have a few solid things that I'm working on today. So I'll let you guys know. Hey guys, so an update here from Nancy Guthrie's house. There are two people who showed up, one in a pickup truck and one in a Subaru. The sheriff's deputies let them through and they went to the back of the house. One of the men was holding a briefcase and we could see them go to the back of the house, and then we could see with our drone that they went inside the house. I'm not sure why. We don't know who they are. There was no markings on the car. It does not appear that they are law enforcement, but the deputies here obviously knew that they were coming because they let them through and they let them go to the back of the house. So I haven't seen that happen before. I don't know if it's like someone that the family sent over to get something out of the house. That kind of occurred to me. Maybe a private investigator, something like that. I don't know. But it was just something that I haven't seen happen before. And one of them is actually still here at the house right now. So I'll keep an eye on it. Obviously, the big development now has been from the sheriff's office saying that, you know, that there's no DNA matches in Codis at this point. So I'll keep you guys posted if anything else develops.
One second here. Okay. Okay, so those are just some clips. You know, I'm amazed that JLR does not have a drone. It's not like the man can't afford it. You guys see him, like, seriously. That guy has probably raked in about 30 grand just off super chats since this case has started. So it's not like he can't afford it. Plus what YouTube pays. But I would don't know. I would just think that he would have a drone, you know, like, because he does, you know, instead of like just the camera, you know, and sitting it out there, that you think he would have a drone, you know. I mean, only he can answer that one, but just would think that he would get a drone, because drones are really great, right? For, you know, like they were doing, showing the back of the house and different stuff like that. Just curious, because it's not like it's not a money issue. Just maybe he doesn't want to do drones. Maybe that doesn't interest him on that one. As for Brian Entin, absolutely. Not only is this man very good looking, I love watching Brian Entin. Always have since I came across him. I think Brian Entin, I want to say more so the Kohberger case. I think is when I first kind of got to, you know, see Brian Entin everywhere and stuff like that. Anyways, he does a really good job. He's good at what he does, and you can guarantee that, you know, he was probably one of the people that was in one of the shops, and they had probably said to him, yeah, they showed me 40 names and, you know, 40 names and 40 pictures type of thing, you know. So there's probably somewhat of an accuracy, because, you know, Brian Entin, like I said, he does an amazing job. He gets obviously a lot of leads, you know, anyways, just bottom line is does a great job. I wonder why Ashley Banfield left. You know, I know she left News Nation, but Brian Entin, Brian Entin has his own channel like here, and then still, you know, does News Nation. Wonder what made Ashley, you know, decide that she was just gonna go off on her own, you know, whatever, right? Maybe she's just got tired of it, and, you know, obviously she's making her own channel, you know, and I keep getting these lately myself. I just never answer them typically, you know, when you get these sponsors and stuff like that. One time I answered back one person and was like, well, we'll give you free jewelry in exchange for a promotional ad. And I was like, yeah, but I don't care about jewelry. So that's obviously not an enticing offer to me. You know, give me something that I'm truly interested in. But I don't wear jewelry. I got my ears pierced when I was a kid, but I don't wear jewelry. Very rarely do I wear jewelry. I just I don't wear sunglasses. I don't like I just like freedom. When I buy my shirts, I always buy them bigger than what I probably should, but I don't care because I just like comfort, and I don't like dangly and stuff. I don't know. I didn't even think about it, but I don't like sunglasses on my face. I don't like it. Just I find them annoying. So yeah, but anyway, so jewelry wasn't enticing, but I keep seeing these emails lately from, hi, it's a crime and shame. Do you want to partner up or whatever? Maybe one day. Maybe one day I'll look at that. Like, give me some, like, I don't know, give me some free something that I'm interested in. That might entice me. Other than that, I don't know about you guys, but they kind of, like, whenever I come across their commercial spots, in Ashley's, her thing, I instantly just like, nope, scroll forward to it on there. I feel like I'm choking. Yeah, if it's a longer, danglier one, or if it's, to be honest, if I like to wear jewelry, like I have this one, like my husband's mom always sends me like gifts, like jewelry and stuff. And I'm like, husband, don't you know that, doesn't your mother know that I don't actually wear jewelry or whatever? But I remember she sent me a dream catcher one. And I remember I had that one on for a while, but I do have it, like, I used to wear my mom's ring on my finger, on this finger, but I don't like anything that's tight, but like I do have like some jewelry, but I don't mind like things like this, I don't mind stuff like that. So, ooh, that's nice and cold. Ooh, I think I like it. Hi, Tom Lou. Hey, everyone. Hi, Annette. How are you? Oh, what do I got in here? I know I bought some cheap Temu rings, but I can't wear fake jewelry because I'll get a rash if I wear fake jewelry. But I love hearts. Let's see. I love little hearts. I don't mind rings. As long as they don't feel. But I think I took it off because after a while I'll get a rash. But I don't mind like, like those Hawaiian necklaces that are like a, colored. I don't mind stuff like that that's loose. I don't even think to wear jewelry. I mean, look what happens to it. It gets tangled up with other stuff. And you sit there for a freaking hour trying to untangle the sucker. But I don't mind like these type of, dollar store bracelets. I'm not an extravagant person at all. I'm not expensive person by no means. Never have been. Not my twin sister. She's like that on there. Oh, I'll show you this quickly. My niece gave me this. So at Christmas time, my niece came over, stayed a few nights with me and stuff like that. And she ended up buying me a couple things. Like I had bought her some stuff for Christmas, but I wasn't expecting her to because, her situation. And, this is my niece that, has been struggling with, fentanyl, meth and all that addictions, and then in recovery and stuff like that. But now she's doing well. She's doing really good right now for the last, I don't know, year or so. But she gave me this at Christmas, which was, so these are like, like those crystal-y things or whatever. She put a little bow on it too. But she said, Auntie, she said, these are mine. Like I'm giving you these that I keep, for, whatever, anxiety and this and that. Yeah. But they're nice and cool. I don't know what it is, you guys, but everything I touch is so cold and I love it because I'm always hot usually all the time. But anyways, so, but anyway, she gave me these. So I just to have them sat in front of my little computer, but meaning these are something that's special that she got for herself. And she says, Auntie. So me and my niece are my twins' oldest, Paige. Me and Paige are very similar in a lot of ways, but no, I didn't get into no drugs like that, like not like that anyway. But me and her are very more spiritual and very more empathic, in a sense in the family. Like honestly, she should have been my daughter, to be honest with you, because me and her are very similar. But anyway, so I know how much this means to her, so I have it sitting here in front of my computer for her, you know. And I also got all these broken because they don't work, right? Okay. Is Nancy Guthrie in Mexico? Circle for yes. Back and forth for no. Well, it's going back and forth, you know. But anyways, got some of those. Charmaine got me one as well on there, but I always say that they're broken because yeah, do they do weird shit sometimes? Yeah. But I don't feel like I'm getting the answers that I want from them on there. But anyway, yeah, what I was gonna say. Tom Lou saying I have a freezing cold. I have to be freezing to wear what? Oh, turtlenecks. Yeah. I hate turtlenecks too. I don't like to be constrained, you know. I like to feel loose and freedom. Absolutely. And turtlenecks, if it's a drooping neck one, I can handle that. But to have those ones up there, no thank you. No thank you. But yeah, I'd say I'm one of the easiest people to please. It doesn't take much. I don't require much. I don't need much. The much that I need is love. So from my husband, I'd rather that. I don't need flowers. I don't need any of that trivial shit. Give me a foot massage, you know, give me a massage of any kind or whatever. I'll take that stuff over material stuff any day. All right. There's another one that I wanted to play for you guys. And thank all 19 of you guys for being here. I don't know where everyone's at. Maybe there's just so many other people doing live, or they're all in JLR's chat or whatever. Maybe it's just the timing of this live. But it is what it is. And again, you know, if people want to watch it later, they will. And if not, then they don't have to either. I just like to personally talk about the case, you know, with you guys. And I have my thoughts. You guys have your thoughts. And yeah, you know, it's a freaking strange case, but at the expense of a very obviously beautiful lady named Nancy Guthrie. She's just so sweet when you see her, like, you know, in those videos with her daughter and they're cooking, you know, or they're sitting down, you know, and Nancy's talking about, you know, about the air and stuff like that, about living in Tucson and why she likes it. You know, she's just a very sweet lady. So just seeing blood, you know, out front, it's just, like, first of all, you wonder where that blood came from. Do you know? You just wonder, like, did it come from a gash on a wrist? You know, like, you just, in your head, you're trying to think what happened in that home that required there to be blood from Nancy outside. Like, where was she injured? It's just sad. It's just sad. Okay, so let's play this one. And this is with, of course, Fox News. And sheriff in charge of Nancy Guthrie search says, sorry, guys, being up at 4:30 in the morning for work. So it could take years to find her. Complains about exhausting probe. Okay, let's listen to this.
To solve this case, and is now reporting complaining about the exhausting investigation. Here with reaction, former Deputy Director of the
Why does
FBI,
it seem
Fox
low?
News contributor Dan Bongino. I think the year that you spent as the Deputy FBI Director, we talked once or twice
You guys hear okay?
about
Is it
the
okay?
fact that you worked Saturday and Sunday and all night, and then, you know, got no sleep doing that job. I didn't particularly like that comment. Why would he say we may not find out for a year from now? That bothered me.
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure why you would say that. I mean, it really destroys the morale of the people busting their ass to try to get this perp to say things like that. And Sean, listen, the cooperation here has not been spectacular. I mean, the decision to send this DNA sample to a private lab was just disastrous. I mean, I'm not telling you that this is this never happens. It does happen. The problem is the FBI does not typically accept DNA once it's once the sample's properly processed from private labs. It has to be typically an accredited forensics lab. So what you're looking at now is another delay, as the private lab will likely have to send it back to Arizona to submit it into Codis. So it was just unnecessary. I don't see what this sheriff, you know, and again, in Monday morning quarterbacking, whatever, we're trying to find an 84-year-old lady, who, you know, who was the subject of an unspeakable tragedy, it appears at this point. What the hell, man? I mean, just send it to the FBI lab. Why introduce another variable you don't need in this?
You know, we're learning a lot about the FBI's capability. We wouldn't have that doorbell video but for the FBI getting involved. And it's even worse than that, Dan. I have friends at the FBI, and they were very clear to me, although they didn't really want me to talk about it early on when this case broke out, that they were purposely pushing the FBI out of the way. And they felt like, no, we can handle this. Well, they can handle it. They don't have the capability that the FBI does. For example, I would imagine that this helicopter-mounted signal sniffer and their ability to do AI reverse lighting and their ability to work with Google and recover that videotape that has been probably the best piece of evidence, the biggest break we've had, all came from the FBI, didn't it?
Yeah, you know, I really wish that blue fly technology would not have gotten out there. I don't know where that came from. I know a lot of people in the FBI are not happy that that got out there, but that should not have gotten out there. That is not the kind of tech you want to expose to the public. But once it's out there, it's out there. Then it's just open season. But here's the difference. Having been a police officer with the NYPD and worked with the FBI and the Secret Service at the federal level, it's not a better or worse thing. I want to be clear. The cops on the street, the homicide investigators on the street who've interviewed 20 or 30 murderers are the best and the best of the best. I'll take them over some of our own agents at times. We have TFOs, task force officers. We have a guy in Miami. He's been down there 38 years. He's works for the Miami PD. The guy's amazing. I'll take him 10 out of 10 times. But when it comes to technical expertise, the FBI has this specialization of labor where that is exactly what those people do, and it's only what they do. You're not out there investigating a robbery one day, like say a deputy or a police officer, and then next day, you know, a missing, and then the next day, another. You're not. You're doing one thing. You have FBI specialists who look specifically at Codis processing, DNA processing. Then you have others in OTD and our lab division, the technical folks. That's all they do. They look at specific things. You have people in our digital enhancement video teams that's all they do is enhance digital video. So it's not a better or worse thing at all. It's just a matter of specialization of labor. And that's why it doesn't make any sense that this the sheriff out there is not taking advantage of specific taxpayer-funded laboratory technologies that the FBI specializes in. It makes zero sense.
How is it that Harvey Levin, who I've known for many years, many decades, has 4 emails from a guy claiming to know the whereabouts, and he just wants the money to give the information up because he feels he's going to have to go into hiding? That's what he said initially. How is it 4 separate emails with a Bitcoin account attributed to each one, the same account? How come we can't find that person based on that email or the 4 emails now? Hi,
Suzanne. Welcome. I disagree actually on that. I like those loudmouth ones that don't hold back. And I agree. Like there's nothing that he said that I disagree with. Um, you know, about Nano, about handing it off to FBI. FBI is the one that's out there letting the technology that they're using for that be out there, when it shouldn't have been, honestly. Um, like, really, the public, shouldn't have known that there's this sniffer out there, because then you're giving the people that have Nancy Guthrie going, well, oh, for fuck's sakes, I didn't know that, I don't know them well enough, but I do like people that speak their mind and, don't hold back, but so I don't know him well enough, but I do like what he's saying here for sure. But, you probably watched him a lot more than I have for sure. Anyway, so, but yeah, so far, like I said, I agree about everything. I think the sheriff, Nanos, so Sheriff Nano, at first I liked him because I thought that he was being very forthcoming with information. But then he started backtracking, and it just seems like, when people have big mouths and a small d and type of thing, that's kind of what he started reminding me of. Just, wah 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 wah, and just, I don't know, he just doesn't seem very sensitive either. I get the fact that I'm sure, just like everyone, he's looking for answers, but it's all the double talking and saying something, then retracting off saying something that he did say. And, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of his. Oh, yeah. Yeah, stuff that would hinder an investigation. Like, this is the stuff that, like, yeah, great, thanks for letting us know. But then you, like, for me, sometimes internally, you're like, why are you letting us know this? Like, we shouldn't know this. It should be something more of, because you're trying, like, yeah, it's one thing to be, like, nosy people and want information. But at the end of the day, it's about an 84-year-old lady that's missing. And to me, that whole signal sniffing and all that stuff, that's just like, and that they're watching, right? They're watching the news, and it's just like, oh yeah, I never thought about that. Oh, now we're gonna have to freaking take that pacemaker out of her, or whatever. I don't know. Just nah. This officer all juniors, because he probably isn't easy to work with. I'll agree there. He probably is not. Let's see here. What else? What else does he have to say?
Well, we're assuming they haven't. I don't want to make that assumption. And there's a couple other assumptions built into this as well. Listen, I live by Occam's razor, right? Keep it simple, stupid. I try not to assume too much. There's a lot of assumptions built in it. There's an assumption that that's connected to the case. It may be, it may not. I don't know that. Maybe this guy is just, playing TMZ. I don't know. Supposedly he has some information that they weren't found elsewhere. I'm not saying that that's the case. Maybe it's not related. Maybe it is. But the FBI is not, at least when I was there, and I know with Cash there now, they're not in the habit of turning down information. If Harvey Levin or TMZ has information and they can get it and pass it off to the FBI, sometimes there's chain of custody issues with things like that when it comes to evidence and other things. But, we're not in the process of turning down tips. They'll take it from anyone. And if the information turns out to, have a spine to it, then great. I mean, no one's interested in credit. Who cares about credit? Let's just find this woman or find the perp and get this thing solved.
What do you make of the sheriff putting out that statement saying, to be clear, the Guthrie family, to include all siblings and spouses, has been cleared as possible suspects in the case. The family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious and are victims in the case. To suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it's cruel. Is it usually the habit of law enforcement? Go ahead.
Yeah, I see a couple different scenarios here. Number one, maybe the family all have airtight alibis. I know they were looked at. I'm sure of. They were looked into. So scenario one, they have airtight alibis. Scenario two, they maybe have an informant. I noticed that some of these people who were detained and some of the vehicles that were looked at and some of the raids that were conducted, again, assuming the obvious, there may be an informant on this who had some information, someone who may have been locked up earlier. So he was able to eliminate the family. There's a couple different scenarios there. Or the third scenario is they have potentially a subject in mind. Was it wise to put that out there at this point in the investigation? I'm not sure, but it's easy for me to say. I'm not running the investigation right now. However, that's a pretty bold statement to put out there given the circumstances, unless you had that background information I already talked about. And if that's the case, then he's right. I'm dealing with some variables I don't know, some unknowns.
Well, and 90% of the time it ends up being somebody related to or close to the individual that's a victim. By the way, great to have you back in the Fox family. Glad that you're back on the airwaves with your podcast. We appreciate your time.
Okay. It ended sooner than what I thought it was going to end up. Again, it reminds me a bit of the Koberger case where, right, they've investigated them, the family members, and basically the thing is that we all know on true crime, in the true crime community, right, you're going to get bashed left, right, and center type of thing. And so if they've already probed them in a sense to say, right, the siblings, the spouses, and all that stuff, it's probably more for the fact of, to take the heat off of everyone trying to accuse Tomato Guy and other family members, perhaps. And I'm not going to the niece and that people are trying to talk about, like Luke Daly and Kayla Noel Day and stuff like that. Who knows? They've maybe been looked into, maybe not. I'm not going to be doing that whole thing like sleuth intuition from it gives me Delphi vibes, what he does. Now I really haven't. It's only because this guy Brian brought him up the other day, about, and then saying that sleuth, but I'm not going to get into the whole, which I was always doing in Delphi, taking this face, putting it to this face, because honestly, it can easily look a lot of times like somebody, even if it's not. And then I noticed that when I clicked on Luke's profiles, they all said that, oops, sorry, this link is either expired or taken down, so they're probably the target right now of a ton of bashing, and they were probably getting a bunch of messages sent to their about, just tell us where Nancy is. We know you had something to do with it, right? That's shit. But yeah, as for like this case, to me, I'm not going to play that game of, well, does it look like this person or that person or this person? It could look like a bunch of different people. All we do see is a goatee of some sort of mustache and a goatee, and we see some eyes, right? Again, that could be a ton of people, and it's easy for someone to do an overlay and match it up in a sense, and then it really not even have anything to do with that. But I learned my lesson from Delphi when it comes to, like calling somebody out that might not have anything to do with it, right? And then you ruin lives. Next thing you know, like I said, they become a target of just a bunch of threats, and crap like that. So I'm not really into that game anymore of doing that stuff. To me, it's just a matter of every case is about the process. Just trust the process, right? We might not get answers that we want right now, but everyone wants to know, about Nancy Guthrie. But I also know that the process isn't always fast. And in this case, obviously, there's nothing that they seem to know truly about what happened to Nancy Guthrie, and they're looking down all the avenues, and it could take weeks, more weeks. It could take months, right? It very well could, because you would, most times you think that, well, they got this, now they have the camera thing. Someone's gonna say, oh, I know that person. I saw that person wearing that knapsack, blah, 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 blah. So it could be very much that way. But I always know that things will happen the way that they're meant to happen. And regardless of anything that we think about with sloppy, maybe things that we wouldn't have done ourselves, being like you said, Monday quarterbacks or whatever, is that we are honestly really peons that know very little about the case, about everything, really. I mean, the FBI, they're the ones that have the information. Sheriff's office, we're just peons that know droplets about it, right? And yeah, we can smack talk or talk about the case all we want, but at the end of the day, it boils down to, we're not going to solve the case. Somebody out there might come forward, but we'll just have to trust the process, that even if it doesn't happen in a week or a month, that at some point that there will be answers to come for Nancy. Nobody wants that, but when you're in true crime enough and watch true crime and follow all the different things, that sometimes things take time. Sometimes it could take a year or longer. It could. It just really depends. I still feel like, well, if they do genealogy and don't get a hit off that, barring the fact that, I don't know, they got quite a few avenues still to go down. And if all those kind of don't pan out for quite a bit, then obviously it's going to turn into a definitely a longer case for sure. As for what I call, Parasite 2 or Leech number 2 there, the one that's sending Harvey Levin those letters. I think he looks like an idiot by saying that he's not going to send another one, then he does, and then he sends another one again, number 4. And you're just like, dude, like, honestly, like, in my head, you're just like, fuck off. If you're a good person, and that, you'll, only a shady person does the shit. But I almost don't really believe him too much, because when that 4th one came out the other day, it didn't match what he was saying to the 3rd one, right? Because if he has that vital information, dude, your ass is going to be dead. You're going to be somebody's freaking bullet type of thing. If you're going to sit there and say that the person's name and that where she is, then that would mean that you were in the know, and that information has either that about because where Nancy is or who has her and everyone that's part of it type of thing. But in the 4th one, he says that he was told to shut up. So again, it doesn't make sense, because if you have this vital information, then they would know who you are that's sending off these emails. So either it's just another freaking bunch of bullshit, or the person sending in those partial Bitcoin and all that shit is just trying to play head games or a game, or trying to, I don't know, but it doesn't make sense at all to say that all this information and then come back saying that they told you to shut up and blah, 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 blah. Great, then you'd be dead, right? If these people are so intelligent and sophisticated in their ransom and their Bitcoin and VPNs and encrypting shit so that, it's virtually almost untraceable and stuff like that. Then you got a little, leech coming out going, well, just give me like 50,000. Oops, they up the reward. A legit person that doesn't have a criminal past, a legit person that isn't some selfish little bitch out there trying to siphon money off of a case. At first I was kind of like having a little bit of hope because he said that he wouldn't cash the first part until, but would give the name. But then that fourth one that came out, I'm like, dude, seriously, you'd be like roadkill if you were in the knowledge of that and they knew that only a few select people know about what happened to Nancy Guthrie. So you get what I mean, right? But I mean, the case is really odd, and that's the part that is just, everywhere. You don't know what to believe. You don't know if the ransom notes were real, because why has it been odd? Why did it come out 2 days later? Why did they ask for 4 million and then 6 million and then, nothing pie? Like, where's the other ransom note saying, you guys didn't pay the ransom, we've taken her life, or try to, but guess what? Give us 2 million and we'll tell you where the body is, type of thing. Like, where's that? Where's another that? But instead you got little Leech 2 coming out, with this things that he's saying now that aren't making sense. The more that person sends in these emails, which Harvey Levin said that they're not going to be talking about anymore, even if he does. Basically, if you want to get the reward, then you can send us the information, and that way it's documented so you can get the reward. So none of this cat and mouse stupid game, and blah. And so you don't know if that's all just one sick, twisted BS or truly, because Harvey Levin keeps saying keenly. What are you saying there, Tom Lou? Yes, it's just like Jack and Lily. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry to yawn because I probably need a nap right quick here. Yeah, it's just like Jack and Lily. We are here at the edge of our seat for news, and it feels like forever. Yeah. Well, look at Jack and Lily's, right? Frick, we're 9.5 months for Jack and Lily. The oddness. But this one, I can't even wrap my brain around this one. Like, honestly. Because it just, when you look at everything, you don't know if the ransom notes are true. You don't know if that secondary leech is if he is part of it all, what his intent truly is. You wonder why there's blood on the floor. You don't know if it was a burglary gone wrong, but usually you won't take a body, right? If it's a burglary gone wrong, you're just going to leave the body there. I mean, you're dressed up to the hilt with your DNA that you're trying not to leave anywhere, but you ain't going to be lugging some 84-year-old's ass, body out of there, over a burglary gone wrong. That's not usually the case of how that works, So kidnapping, it makes the most sense. Of the fact that, oh, I never played this. Hold on. So on Megyn Kelly, so Savannah had written a book, and in 2024, in that book was about kidnapping, right? Like a game that they would play. And that was in her book. So I took the audio clip from Megyn Kelly's video that came out, I don't know, a few hours ago now. But anyway, let me find that. Let me play that. Video file. Okay. So again, this is from Savannah Guthrie's book in 2024. And this was audios. They were talking about a game that's eerily similar.
Her book. In it, you're going to hear her talk about her cousin Terry, who was, she said, like an aunt to her growing up. Terry's 20 years older than Savannah, so Terry would be 74 right now. But listen to this.
About once a year in the summertime, Cousin Terry orchestrated a kidnapping of my sister and me. It went down like this. The cousins would visit for a few days at our house in Tucson, and then, on the morning they were to leave, Terry would wake us up early, shushing us in the pre-dawn darkness as we made our escape. We would all pile into her rickety station wagon and head north, the sky streaking with bright oranges and pinks as the sun rose over the colorless desert landscape. Somewhere between Phoenix and Tucson, Terry would make a pit stop and let Annie and me call home at a payphone. "Mom, Cousin Terry kidnapped us to take us to her house." My mother would feign shock, protest how terribly she would miss us, then assure us she'd drive up to retrieve us in a few days.
Okay, I'm going to play that one more time because I really got to go to the bathroom.
Of her book. In it, you're going to hear her talk about her cousin Terry, who was, she said, like an aunt to her growing up. Terry's 20 years older than Savannah, so Terry would be 74 right now. But listen to this.
About once a year in the summertime, Cousin Terry orchestrated a kidnapping of my sister and me. It went down like this. The cousins would visit for a few days at our house in Tucson, and then, on the morning they were to leave, Terry would wake us up early, shushing us in the pre-dawn darkness as we made our escape. We would all pile into her rickety station wagon and head north, the sky streaking with bright oranges and pinks as the sun rose over the colorless desert landscape. Somewhere between Phoenix and Tucson, Terry would make a pit stop and let Annie and me call home at a payphone. "Mom, Cousin Terry kidnapped us to take us to her house." My mother would feign shock, protest how terribly she would miss us, then assure us she'd drive up to retrieve us in a few days.
All right, back. Sorry, guys, I had to go to the bathroom so bad. I was just like turning in my chair. But yeah, I mean, so let me ask you guys. Kidnapping. If it was a kidnapping, I think just lagged for a second. Okay, so if it was a kidnapping, what do you guys think? Do you think well, I mean, do you guys think it was because of the Epstein files? Do you think it was because somebody basically, overheard, or somebody was told about Nancy Guthrie and how much money they could get by kidnapping her? What is your, if it was a kidnapping, why do you think it was because of Savannah Guthrie, like just in general, that because of her, like, what do you guys think if it was a kidnapping? By the way, 43% are saying unsure at this time for the poll. 32% now saying, 31% now actually saying kidnapping. Burglary gone wrong is 15%. Home invasion, 11%. I always believe in Occam's razor. Occam's razor is the simplest line to the truth is usually the reason for it. My bets, I don't think it's a burglary gone wrong. That guy's backpack was stuffed to the hilt. So I don't, unless, usually they don't take bodies though, if it's a burglary. Like, they're not. Like, it's not something that they do. It's just like the burglary. It's just not something that typically happens, that you burglarize a home and then, like, you're not going to be carrying out the body typically and disposing of it. That's just creating more. But it's the blood. The blood is the one that gets me. Yeah, I can't remember. I remember reading something, and I can't remember if it said Savannah and her sister together combined are 40 million. Have $40 million. So I remember reading that, but it was like on some Hindu news or something like that. I wonder if Tom Lou says, I wonder if it was maybe a stalker. Like how it's spelled stalker. You must be talking through your thing. That wanted her daughter, was in love with her, and she didn't pay him any attention. Savannah's brothers were 2 to 3. I mean, obviously that family has some money. My opinion, Nancy. Yeah. Removal was motive. Yeah. I'm French. Yeah. You know, but it's so weird. So why isn't there another ransom? Like, was there another one? But you're sending it to TMZ for one of them. So why isn't there another one? Like, this is weird, right? Look at Miss Dog Lover. Bonjour. Comment ça va? Tom. Well, my wheels are turning, but it's really because it just doesn't make sense. Like, it will probably boil down to something to do with Savannah. And why? It's either that or, but why isn't there? Tell me then, Tom, Lou, tell me, why isn't there another ransom note saying, you know what? Like, why isn't there proof of life, right? See if there's anything else that's come out. Let me just hit refresh. I'll drop, if you guys haven't seen it, I'll drop the Megyn Kelly one, the one that has like about the book in it and stuff. Certain things I just can't play because I know I'll get it a copyright claim. But that's the link for Megyn Kelly's one. Let me just hit refresh here and see what else is out there. No, I don't want that. Come on now. Where's all the side stuff? Okay, well, I'll close you off. Megyn Kelly. Okay, I'll hit refresh on this one. I don't understand. Why is it? What's with this lag? Shh. I'm waiting for like the side things to show up, and I don't know why they're not. Like, you know, on the side, YouTube always has like the different videos going on. I'm not understanding why I'm not seeing that. Weird. Huh, like it wants to. Anyways, let me just go to the YouTube and see. Okay, what's going on with YouTube right now? So weird. My drivers are updated. I'll show you. Okay. So this is YouTube. Where's the videos of, right? So if I hit refresh, see how they pop up? And then all of a sudden it's like it's not showing them. Is it happening to anybody else by chance? I'm on my desktop, but that's just, I've never had that. See how it vaguely comes up like here? So what the heck? YouTube. Huh. I don't know why it's glitching out. It's never like, I mean, it's crashed, but not on only on my iPad. History. So I can see my watch history, right? One sec. I mean, I can see my watch history.
This woman.
But it's not bringing up the side videos. That is so strange. It's not happening to you, Annette? No, the Wi-Fi is mine. And I'm hard connected in, by the way. So it's not actually just, it's not off Wi-Fi. I'm like,
this woman, I don't know, flagged that Savannah's.
Just afraid if I, well, let me put it this way. Sometimes when you clear your cache, you know, but I'm wondering if it's going to take me out of the live stream. Yeah, thank you, Tom Lou. So let me put it this way. I'm going to clear my cache. If it happens to take me out of the live, it does, then I'm going to wish you guys a great night. Yeah, because I'm kind of getting tired anyway. But let me just quickly clear my cache here. And then, like I said, if I get booted from this live from doing that, you know, prayers for Nancy Guthrie, and, you know, we'll see what information comes out. All right. Clear cache. Delete browsing history. Okay, I'm back for a second. Let me just see if that helped. No, it doesn't seem like it helped at all. Weird, never had that. Just gonna have to reboot my computer, I guess. So weird, because I mean, I just updated my drivers the other day and rebooted. So let me see. Yeah, just a blank screen. Okay. All right. Well, you guys, we're gonna end the live here. And Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to reboot my computer and see what the heck's going on here. Right. You guys have a great night. And maybe I'll see you tomorrow. I'm not sure. I'll just see how it goes. And, you know, the rest of the night I'll be watching and just seeing if there's anything. Not feeling it. It's just probably going to be like chasing my tail, re-listening to the same stuff pretty much over and over again. Either way. So thank you guys. Shannon, thank you very much for that super sticker earlier. Other than that, you guys have a great night and God bless, and prayers for Nancy Guthrie, Jack and Lily, Sebastian Rogers, and a ton of other cases out there. Take care, guys.